My name is Amy Wurst. I'm on the board of directors for Special Olympics. And we have our panel here. Linda Wienerholt. Bless you, sir. Linda is the sister of Dan Schieber, who is an athlete. We have Garrett Danmeyer's dad, also known as Dan. Brittany Buskin is sister of Emma Buskin. And Jim Wallace, who is the mother of athlete Tim Wallace. All right, we're going to start out just asking some questions. This was a panel that was done when we went to South Central Conference a couple years ago and found out that this was, Lonnie, this is a question and answer period. You don't get to ask the questions, I do. And it's just very informative. It gave us a chance to learn from parent-sibling relationships what it's like to be involved in Special Olympics and how it impacts their lives. So the first question I have to ask of the parents, which would be Dan and Trish, when and how did you find out your child had a disability, and how has that impacted your life? So Dan, you want to start?
Okay, well,
Trish is going to start. Ladies first. Ladies first.
That's right. Well, 9 months of pregnancy was typical. I've never spoken in a microphone before. Okay. So the great day of labor and delivery came, and still no issues about anything that was going to be different. Tim was born on a Saturday, and if anybody knows what hospitals are like on Saturdays, they are totally different than the rest of the week. So, being a complicated birth after he was born, or coming out, to be a little graphic, he was the color of Barney, so we called him our Barney baby. And the nurses and the attending physician, of course, didn't know what to do. They had this purple baby in their hands, no warmer, no nothing. This was at Boone Hospital Center. And so, but as he was being born, I had this like weird feeling coming up, as moms might know. And I said to my husband, something's wrong, I know something is wrong, something is wrong. And then he popped out as purple Barney. Then they didn't know what to do, so they took him away for about 2 hours, and we still didn't know if he was going to live or die at that time, which I had no idea about being the gray area of surviving with a disability or anything like that. So they took him away for about 2 hours, and the nurse's aide that was with me from the beginning went into the the baby room, I can't even think of the word, and took 2 Polaroid pictures of him for me. And she brought them right back, and while they were cleaning me up and fixing the stitches and all that kind of stuff, she just laid those photos right next to me. So that's what I had for several hours. Again, being on a Saturday, they called our pediatrician, and for some reason, she dropped whatever she was doing. She was not on call. She came over, and after about 3 or 4 hours, she just kind of leaned her head in with mine and kind of shared my pillow with me and said, you know, he doesn't look like your other 2 children did. We think he has Down syndrome. But at the time, the chromosome test took about 2 weeks to solidify that it truly was Down syndrome, but she knew right away. So that's how she told us. And she was with me for the next couple hours throughout the day. At that time too, because he was so purple, that's when we found out he had a severe heart defect. And that it was going to require surgery. So before she went on to explain what the heart surgery was like, I said, just answer my question, is he going to live or die? And she said, he's going to live. And I said, okay, then you can tell me all the bloody, gory details, every single process, but I'm the kind of person that likes to know that last page of your book before you read it. And so I was so relieved that it was fixable and that there were people there with us. The one thing of the puzzle after 21 years that I still don't know, I don't know what happened after his birth and finding out the diagnosis when, until immediately the geneticist from the University Hospital down the street, because at the time in Columbia, the two hospitals served different purposes. The Boone Hospital was still just your typical family hospital. The University Hospital was the sick babies and with the more significant and trauma kinds of things. So Tim had to be transported from the hospital, from Boone Hospital to University Hospital to get all of his heart monitored and all that kind of stuff done. I wasn't able to go because I was still a patient at Boone Hospital. They would not let me go. So the nurse, a nurse from Boone Hospital had to spend the day with him and loaded him up in the ambulance, took him down the street 2 miles to the other hospital for the day of evaluating what his defect was. By that time, the geneticist had walked in and I don't know why she said this, but she said she was so sorry because she was wearing shorts and she was on her way to the grocery store when she got the call. I said, I really care, look what I'm wearing, a hospital gown. So she sat with us and, you know, just kind of presented the facts. And then within a few days of getting home, I got a phone call from Boone County Family Resources, which is our area's resource center for all of his services. And then it went on from there. I still don't know how that happened, but it did. And within a few weeks after that, I got a call from a parent who also was a parent of a kid with Down syndrome, and then we took off from there. So that part was not the horror stories that some folks have had in the past, but I still don't know how it went from person to person and how we got involved.
Thanks. Dan, you want to tell us your story?
We found out the preliminary diagnosis probably within 2 or 3 hours of Jared being born. The doctor says there are several indications that he has Down syndrome, and he explained what they were and the characteristics. So, and the doctor said, you know, he will live a somewhat normal life. You can go home and raise him as you would your other son if you want to. And 23 years ago, this is what's still shocking to me. He says, if you feel you can't handle this, you could institutionalize him. But he went on to talk about some other things, and then he said, and he can participate in Special Olympics or things like that. Okay, those were the, you know, yes, I knew the 2 words special and Olympics, but to know what they were together was, yeah, I knew it existed, but that was about the size of it. Because of our older son being born premature, we knew when the doctor told us that just take Jared home and treat him as you would, or you know, do as you would any other child. We knew that there was potentially some other things to check out. So we contacted the hospital in St. Louis, where Jared was born in Quincy, Illinois. We contacted our hospital and pediatrician in St. Louis that our other son had participated with, and had some other things and followed up that way. But you know, in hindsight, the doctor in Quincy probably was right. Take him home and treat him as you would any other son. Check out those things. But we pursued some therapies and etc. And Jared, being the younger brother, and thank God for Josh, the older brother, Jared wanted to do whatever the older brother did. So for years, it was okay. Josh is involved in going to church and being an altar boy. Jared wants to be an altar boy. Josh was involved in 4-H. Jared wanted to be in 4-H, even before he was age eligible per se, and then through high school years, etc. You know, FFA, other activities, showing cattle. woodworking, etc. That's just what we did. He participated, was included, and went that direction. And our contact with Special Olympics came first through the school system, where our local school district had participated in the track and field event at Kirksville, and took half a dozen kids up there and said, hey, you know, Jared's eligible, do you want to try to do this? And that's what we did. So, but that's how we got involved with it, was just that process.
Thanks. All right, Linda and Brittany, as siblings, tell us about growing up alongside someone who has a disability, and when did you understand that he or she had different challenges than you? And then how did your parents encourage you to interact with people like that? Linda.
That's a lot of questions. I know, sorry. But you gotta break that down. Okay. I grew up, I was 12 when my brother was born. We soon found out he had Down syndrome. And in Special Olympics, so I was just out of the house when my brother started Special Olympics just as soon as he could. And so I grew up with Special Olympics as a fan, as a person, you know, supporting him, and anytime Melanie needed something from our area, she'd call and we were always there. I got involved with it. You might have to repeat those questions again. There's a lot.
I forgot how old you were.
I teach, but I was writing it down.
At what point did you understand he was different? Right away?
Right away. Something unique at that time. Dan, just as soon as they found out, they started investigating like everybody else what was out there for them. And we began a program out of Omaha. It was human development, and we did patterns. You would crawl in a creek, you would do patterns on a table. During the night, you would hear words over and over. Right away, I knew he was different. Guess who was helping? There was a lot of people helping, so right away, you knew he was different. But yet, he still had to do everything that we did. So again, just like treating him as normal as you can. What was the other part? Or was there another part? Okay, thanks.
Brittany's chomping at the bit.
I guess for my situation, it's a bit different. I was already involved in Special Olympics before my sister became involved. Emma, at the time of birth, there was nothing that we knew was wrong until I guess she was about 4 and started talking and developing. There was a speech issue, and as she got older and inside the schools, jumping into Special Olympics, she got involved right away as an athlete. Her social aspect, though, when speaking to others, was a bit on the slow end and not responsive. So I guess she challenged a little more in interacting with others. But after that, she overcame so much and was an athlete, played alongside with all of the rest of the Special Olympics athletes. And I, as a sister, just continued to do what I did before as a volunteer, and didn't look at her any different. It was a very smooth process. So that's it.
Thanks. All right, Trish. This is going to be for everybody eventually, so you might think about your answer. At what point did you learn about Special Olympics, and how has it impacted your life?
That's my favorite question. And it is in this book right here, if anybody cares to see it. Tim was about 7, and my husband, before that, had been in graduate school for, I forgot what it was, rehab counseling or something. Anyway, he had met a mom that had a teenage son at the time with Down syndrome, and he had to do project with this family for his master's degree, blah, 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 blah. So we had known this family just through that project. One day we were at the bowling alley in Columbia, and backtracking a little bit, as soon as Tim was able to walk, he had a basketball in his hands and was dribbling that ball from then till now. He even slept with basketball, and that was like his major passion was basketball. His one special ed teacher, that's how she found out how she could teach him to count 1, 2, 3 by taking him outside with a basketball and throwing it against the brick wall, bounce 1, throw it against the brick wall. Anyway, passion for basketball. So we were at the bowling alley for a birthday party or something. Anyway, they had that game section that had that pop shot kind of basketball thing. And Susan Schaefer, who I didn't know at the time was Susan Schaefer, came walking through, and she says, I want that kid. And I said, okay, here.
She said, here.
And the rest is history. But anyway, so she explained what she was, and I had always known I wanted to do some kind of coaching with Special Olympics. Like when I was in grade school, I had always wanted to be a therapist, a physical therapist, and so I thought, well, why not, you know, with Special Olympics, blah, 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 but it never dawned on me that that's what I would be doing. And so she said, okay, and I said, well, what do I need to do? And, you know, we went through the whole process. Anyway, his first sport, his first time at Special Olympics was bowling, and I have his first medal. He was this short, little 8-year-old, cute kid, of course, and no one was even close to his age level or that young, and so we were like, how did he win this gold medal? We were so excited that he had it, and ever since then, we've just become the biggest fans of Special Olympics ever, because that's been our whole support system ever since that time. Since he was a small kid, since I was the parent, you know, we as parents don't drop our kids off at their sporting events or at their practices or with other families or whatever. We're always there. We kind of, as parents, don't let our kids out of their sight, out of our sight. I always worried that somebody would misinterpret what he was trying to say, you know, kind of that helicoptering feel, but it's not like the typical kids that you could just leave for an hour and then come back and pick up. So while he was involved in all these sports, and from having a background of being a therapist, I was like, I know he needs motor movement. I know he needs to be active. We need to get him going. Special Olympics is great for that. So I'd be at every practice, at every event, at everything. It also took Tim a long time to get toilet trained, which was bad on my part because everyone just told me, well, it'll be a little delayed and you'll know when he's ready. Well, the only time he showed me he was ready was he went to bed one night without pull-ups on, and the bed was dry, and I was like, how come? And he said, Mom, we're out of pull-ups. And I thought, wow. So that's why I get the Bad Mom Award for, you know, thinking it's just going to happen. But anyway, because he had such, you know, self-care needs, especially with being so delayed with toilet training, I didn't want to put that on the coaches or the chaperones or the people that took him, you know, when he went to his state and area events. So I was there. I was there the whole time, and I started getting into it, and I started talking with parents, and we started having our own little support group, and I just started falling in love with everybody else's kids, and then I ended up getting a job at the public school system, and then I saw the kids every day, and then I saw them at Special Olympics, and then it just went on from there. The other parents of the athletes, again, we have to be there. We're not going anywhere, so to spend that time, that's when we feed off of each other of our ideas or what's happening, or what doc did you go to, what therapist do you like, you know, how did you get this service? Where did you find that? That's where all those things come in. Sometimes I sit on too many fences, and so not only am I a school person and therapist, I'm the mom and the coach, and so I can hear things that parents say that could be negative to school, and I don't know what to say. So at times it's kind of rough knowing all the ins and outs and knowing just a little bit about a lot of stuff. But overall, I think the coolest thing for us and our family was the involvement with other families, and that has been our total social network. And Tim even has we call her the lifelong girlfriend, and he will tell you that. And yes, they have their little squabbles and whatever, but it's really selfishly heartwarming that he has a girlfriend that's going to be for life. And whatever the romantic piece is, it doesn't matter, but his mom and I are good friends. But to know that they went to the school dances and all that kind of stuff, and like the speaker this morning talked about the ups and downs of young love, you know. Tim will always tell you that Cheyenne's his girlfriend, but Cheyenne will also say, no, we broke up today. But no, we're back together. And you know, the drama that goes along with all of that stuff. But selfishly, I'm glad there's a girl that he likes, and that's that normal thing.
Thank you. Brittany, you were already involved in Special Olympics. Did your relationship change anymore when your sister came along and got involved as well?
I guess it did a little bit just by knowing what Special Olympics was already. I knew what the outcome had to be. So for Emma, seeing her get involved and kind of knowing that the social network wasn't there as easily as it was for others, pushing her as an athlete to step forward and help other athletes or kind of lead the role was definitely something that I saw her improve on, and then it also gave me a little better view of why I was a part of Special Olympics, I guess you could say. Definitely took on some of the other athletes, not only my sister, and just really worked with them, even just started babysitting over the summer some of the athletes, as I was also just a partner in school. And so that's kind of how I kept it going.
So do you have the addiction?
I guess you could say yes. It definitely started thanks to my mom for already being involved, and now the whole family is there involved. And it's kind of neat now that I've left, but you know, even my brother isn't at the same school that we are at. He was during middle school, but now he's at a private school, and his school even gets involved with Special Olympics. So hearing him come home and share his stories, or Emma come home and share stories from Special Olympics that goes on at practices when I'm not there is still pretty cool.
Yeah.
We've continued to get more and more involved with Special Olympics since that first track meet when Jared was approximately 9 or 10. I really can't recall anymore. But again, from a very small rural community, there was always a need for volunteers. There was always a need for support. There were other individuals that were participating that maybe didn't have a ride home after practice or something like that, so we just continued to be a part of that. My wife Brenda and I have both become more and more involved advocates for individuals and with disabilities, and stepping out there and doing that and being involved in that process. But the continuing with Special Olympics, I don't know how to say it other than the wonderful opportunities that our family has had and continue to experience from Special Olympics is just phenomenal. But the step that it was what anybody can and I would recommend considering doing is just involvement. Just continue to get involved, continue to step out there and try some things. And it has been such a blessing to our family across the board because we've all experienced so many wonderful things, both on a very, very local level in our home school district and school district and communities that we live and work in, and to the state and beyond. So it's just very much a part of what we do and are part of. So yes, it's changed the fabric of our family, and it is, for Brenda and I, as well as Jared's older brother Josh participates in it as well. And there's not a louder cheerleader or participant. Josh and Jared did the over the edge thing together this fall, so it was just, again, it's just a family event that all four of us are involved in.
All right, Linda. The impact first on my brother, being in Special Olympics, not only did it help him health-wise and kept him very active, but it also gave him a social life. And so now I can sort of take where my impact comes from. Then because of my brother and really the people that supported him, the coaches, I wanted to share that with because I did move away from him. I was right around him for 34 years, and then here we moved an hour and a half away. And so then from the people that supported him, I wanted to share that same thing with athletes that are in my school. And one other big impact early on was the sports camp. I was asked, the first time I went, I was asked to go because somebody else dropped out with Maryville athletes. I went there, and right there and then, that week, I said, I've got to do this. I've got to have other athletes. I've got to be the one to get them to go. I've got to be the one to help them with the event. So I started coaching. And that was a really minor impact because what Special Olympics has done for me is given me families. I have a state family that I know people all across the state that I would have never met. I know people in my KC family because they're right there with me, and then my last new family is right there in Park Hill. I have parents now that we go out monthly because they're my family, they're my sisters, they're my brothers. So as a coach, that's been my biggest impact is on my social life because I have so many people I now know that I've never known, and all these people are so above a lot of my teacher friends because they're the people that give, and when you give to others, you get it back tenfold. And that's the impact. I have got so much more from Special Olympics than I can ever get. When I had just real quick, I'm getting long here, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. This is good stuff.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Is this a Dr. Phil moment?
No. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We can come back to it. We got plenty of time. All right, Trish. What do you think is the greatest benefit of coaching, and how can you encourage other people to become coaches for Special Olympics?
Well, first of all, let me back up and tell you why.
Just move closer to you. There you go.
I'm a technophobe usually. When I first told my dad that I grew up in a house of sports people. Everybody, my three siblings and my dad played softball from the day I was born to when I was in college. My dad finally stopped playing softball. Anyway, I never played a day of sports in my life. But because I was showing up with Tim to all of his sports, I started collecting my hours that ended up qualifying me for a coach. So I told my dad, guess what? I'm going to coach. I'm coaching swimming and basketball and softball. And he just looked at me and he said, you've never played a day of sports in your life. I said, here's the magic of coaching Special Olympics. It has to do with knock it off, quit putting your hands down your pants, tie your shoes, and it's time for the bathroom. Other than that, the skill level was not there that I needed to know any of that. I still don't get the 10-run rule, however you throw a person. I don't get the 10-run rule in softball. It's been 13 years of softball. I still don't get it. So yes, they are outgrowing me a little bit in the skill development. So that's why now my husband is co-coaching with me. So I said, I'll do the management and you do the skill stuff. We still haven't won a basketball game because our kids can't jump and we don't know how to do the rebound or how to teach them. But by God, we are out there every single week with our group of kids, and it is addicting. It is an amazing thing to work with the kids on and off the field. And when I say that, I am kind of on the cross-dresser side. My whole career, if you want to call it, I was working with elderly folks in nursing homes and rehab hospitals. And then Tim was born, and I thought, oh, this is just really great. I had a little talk with God up there and said, why did you give me this that I know absolutely nothing about? So through the years, again, I switched over to now I'm working with kids with special needs, and again, I love it. It has made me a better therapist because I get it. I enjoy going to the IEP meetings and helping families navigate through our weird systems that we have. And believe it or not, Special Olympics is a very complicated and overwhelming thing to first enter into. You have no idea that what? Your 8-year-old kid gets to travel to Kansas City and stay in a hotel? You know, those kinds of things are really overwhelming to think about that they get to do. And so, I forgot what I was doing, but anyway, so now we are coaching. I see the seeing the kids for their weekly practices at softball and basketball. I do get to see them in the classroom, or I'll see them out at Walmart or somewhere ever. And the biggest joy that I get is somebody that screams across Walmart and says, "Hi, Coach!" And I'm like, oh, that's me. I've never played a day of sports in my life. And so those are my just warm and fuzzies that are just my personal thing, because if I didn't have Tim, there is no way I'd be sitting talking to an audience. I could even go down and talk to the governor of Missouri about Special Olympics or kids with disabilities and not have any problem with, well, I'd be nervous, but I could still do it. You know what? On my teams, it doesn't matter. If you want to be there, that's all that matters. If you show up, we will modify anything that has to be modified because you're part of the team. So this last weekend, you know, we had our area basketball tournament, and well, of course we didn't win, but we got the ribbon. And we had 5 kids there, and 3 of the kids said, "Oh, don't forget to get that ribbon for our other 2 players that weren't here." And again, that's coaching. You know, it's not about, okay, we lost 20 to 10 again, and you know, we lost again. But it was, they remembered those ribbons for those other 2 players. And so that's coaching. And I will say that from the top of the tower to whoever wants to listen. That's what it's about. And now we have a daughter who is now of age to have a real big girl job and can pay her rent and car insurance because of Special Olympics. And so she's thrilled that I just said that about her. But it truly is a family affair for us.
That's great, Trish. Thank you. Very pretty. What is it about coaching that's so special, and how would you encourage other people to become involved?
Okay. Well, I was kind of thinking about this as, I don't know, sitting up here. I guess when I left high school, I went away to college at Central Methodist University, and I thought to myself, am I really going to stick with Special Olympics? I wasn't sure. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Didn't know many people in college. But I can remember a day that I had off school, and I went to the Herman area track meet. I met Warren County up there, and Susan Schaefer, I met her for the first time. I know, crazy. You would have thought I would have known her before, but I did. I got in contact with her, and she asked me to be a lifeguard for a Special Olympics sports camp. And at that time I said, well, I can swim, but do I feel comfortable saving lives? And so I did. I took that upon myself and went and got certified. And knowing that I had that summer to look forward to, and I would be doing that over the summer, I kind of looked for other ways to make an appearance at other events. So also that summer we went to state in Columbia, and I helped out there, and I kind of just brought myself from college to help out with Special Olympics. And then I found out that Columbia area was so close to me and I could help them out. So really, I didn't let myself go too far. I came back real quick. So I guess that's why I'm here right now. But anyway, after sports camp, now I've been doing this 9 years, I guess you could say. And so I'm a coach again. I'm back home, living at home. And this year I was asked to coach a girl who I ended up babysitting over the summer, so one that I had talked about. And she's a basketball player, individual sports, and I guess I'm basically really excited to coach her. As far as getting involved though, it's like the biggest thing. Special Olympics is probably the top thing that comes to my mind when having a conversation with somebody. You never really think of how often you're going to say Special Olympics, but it comes out of your mouth. Almost every day, going to friends, and they'll say, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to a Special Olympics event. Oh, I'm going to a Special Olympics game. And I know just recently I had a friend say to me, oh, I need to get involved in that. And I said, well, you're never too busy to be involved. And she said, well, how come? And I basically just told her that it's a matter of showing up to one event, and that will change your outlook on things, and you will be able to continue going to events. And she's like, oh, no way. So I did. I invited her up to the Warren County tournament that's coming up at the end of January, and I said, just come help out with that. And so I'm pretty excited, and hopefully she will come up and we'll get her involved in coaching. Other than that, I really, coming from a partner to a coach, it's all of you guys out there as coaches right now. Get your partners involved, especially your seniors, and help them find ways to branch out at the college and university that they go to. Because once they are familiar with Special Olympics, they will really want to come back, help out, and it will draw more people in. And it's crazy that all of the athletes in college that are playing intramural sports that aren't involved every day in a sport will love to still coach. They leave high school and they're so determined to finish college not playing a sport, and so they've been an athlete all their life, and coaching is the best way to make them feel like they're still that athlete, because in Special Olympics I know I still act like a kid. So that's, yeah.
And I know that's true. And I will say, as the aquatics director, having Brittany there as our lifeguard was a blast that summer.
Thanks.
We want you to get recertified so you can come back. All right, Dan, what do you have discussion-wise?
Got involved in coaching, starting out just as a chaperone on some of those trips. As was mentioned, you know, that suddenly these athletes get to go to the district tournament of that and to the state tournament of this, and the local group always needed some male chaperones to go along with them, and so I was filled in that, and then whoops, there wasn't the basketball coach couldn't come this weekend or couldn't make that trip, etc. Dan, can you fill in for the basketball coach on this team? And okay, and so got certified with that. Our main switch for Brenda and I both to probably get more directly involved in coaching was when Jarrett was in high school. He was the manager on the football and the baseball team, and connected with several of those players and learned how to play baseball, especially with the group of them by the time he graduated from high school. So when he graduated from high school, he goes, I want to play baseball. Can we do Special Olympics baseball? I said, well, Special Olympics doesn't have baseball in Missouri, but we could do softball. So Brenda and I just said, well, okay, we're gonna do start a softball team, and it was our goal because of Jarrett's involvement with the Youth Activation Committee and Trish getting him involved with the Youth Activation Committee and develop a unified partnership with those. So we just automatically said, well, looking at numbers, we'll need to get some unified partners. And so that's how we got involved in coaching, and that's our goal, is to keep it unified, just to create that long-term friendship, that long-term equality for our athletes with the other students in high school and friends, etc. And the fulfillment that we get out of that, the way we try to ask for the unified partners, and then maybe to help out with coaching, etc., is just come participate. You don't have to sign on for a season. You don't have to sign on to be the head coach. We'll find somebody to do the paperwork. Thankfully, for softball, Brenda takes care of me that way, and we just again participate. And you know, we go back to the North Area tournament, to the Kansas City tournament. This last year we didn't win a game, but we sure had a good time. The fulfilling part for any coach is not necessarily that they win the gold medal or even that they get a medal. The kids love it. They want to make sure they get it, get that ribbon, whatever it is. The important part is where you see the confidence in their personality, in their skills in the sport. Whatever the sport is, you see that confidence grow, but you also see that confidence grow in their interactions with their peers, with their interactions with the unified partners, the coaches, the referees, making a point of, or the umpires making a point of doing that. And then when they go to a conference or speak at a group that really has nothing to do with athletics, you know, just like through this conference, the athletes that did the introductions, the athletes that were part of the awards presentations, that confidence is what we're coaching for. We're using sport to get there, but that's what we're after, is to see that accomplishment in everyday life. And that's the fulfilling part, that we, you know, to be able to show that piece to a volunteer, and it's kind of been referred to as a wow moment, whatever it is that hooks you, but to see that little piece, that's what makes all the difference. And to see that growth in that athlete that, you know, when they go up to the plate to play softball, they're not going to hit it, but they suddenly make contact. No, it's not a home run. No, it doesn't even get out of the infield, or maybe it doesn't get past the pitcher, but they make contact. And that they know to run to first base, and they go on to second base, or they stop, or whatever it is, you see that growth. And then they see that confidence, and then you start seeing that confidence go to other areas in their life. That's the important piece.
Thanks. All right, Linda.
I recruit several different types. I recruit high schoolers. I do that through the A+ program and Stucos. Many of them will spend 4 years with me, and then they head off to college. And they usually end up crying at the end when they're leaving their students. No, they won't be back for a while, but they all tell me they're coming back. And I said, just remember, colleges have Special Olympics there too. Another group that I really work hard at is with my parents. And I have many wonderful parents that take on the role of a coach. And again, it's just getting them involved, asking them. It's so funny how many times, that's all it takes, is will you do this for me? At the last basketball game, one of the coaches couldn't show up. I went up to the parents and said, will you go sit on the bench with him and help him? And yeah, sure. And now he's there, he said he'll be there now at every practice to help. A lot of times it's just that ask. And then the other group is people that I know that right now are not involved. And all I do is I ask them to come to an event or come to a practice. And I tell them, I said, think of your worst day. Your boss has yelled at you, and if you're the boss, you yell at yourself. But think of your worst day. And I said, I can guarantee you, if you come to my practice, you will smile. My athletes will do that. No matter how down you are, if you're depressed, they bring you up. Yeah, sometimes you want to ball too. But 99% of that time, those athletes will make you smile, they will make you laugh, and they will really make you feel good inside. But the big thing I think about getting other coaches is just asking them to come to their event. Yeah, there's some that won't get hooked, but there's many of them that will.
That's great. All right, last question. But I think what I get from this is first, get people to an event and make sure Schaefer's there. And it all happens, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. I try to get as many people to my camp at the camp as you can, because that will hook them. Yeah, if they ever want to see an amazing thing, it's the camp.
Definitely. Sports camp is the best. All right, last question, and anybody can answer any. Many people in this room are Special Olympics volunteers. Is there anything you would like to say to them about what they have meant to your life, to your child's life, or to your siblings' life? Don't all speak at once.
Can you say it on the list?
To people in the room who do volunteer and coach and do those things, what does that mean to you and your life? If anything.
I can start. First of all, thank you. I mean, that's the big one. And I mean, even if a person just comes to my event and don't end up helping me, I still want to thank them. I mean, that to me is the big one. There was something else I was going to say, but I completely forgot. It'll come back, somebody else.
Okay, we'll come back.
Yeah, the appreciation to the staff for the opportunities. And again, it is so much more, and has been for our entire family, so much more than that athletic event. That be it local, district, state, whatever, or national, it's so much more than that event. It can grow beyond that, and the opportunities. That doesn't mean that when you volunteer at the local track meet that you are tied into something all the way, but again, you can have that chance and that opportunity to look at that. But the appreciation of seeing what it takes to coordinate some of those events and to do that is just, it's heartwarming, it's amazing. We want you to participate in it, and if there's something that doesn't quite set with you, don't just walk away and don't tell somebody. Say, hey, this didn't work well, or I didn't agree with that. Okay, maybe it can be fixed. Maybe it can, but at least it can be looked at. And but your time is very valuable. The role model as a volunteer or as a coach that you play to our athletes is very, very important, because I know personally as a coach, I can see so many other athletes, as was mentioned, hey, they holler at you in school, they holler at you across the grocery store, wherever they're at, they're saying hi. But again, they're learning part of that social aspect, and they know because you gave them some time and you were sincere about it, they appreciate you, and you help move them a little bit longer on their step in their walk in life and improve their lot.
Well, there's always Special Olympics athletes out there. So without having the coaches, we kind of would not have the stories to share, and we all know those are the best stories. So we also wouldn't have the games to go watch and the entertainment to keep us busy and young, as we shall call ourselves. So thanks to all of the coaches out there.
And some of the things that I've been thinking about the last few years, Tim is now 21. He is past school. So we are into the adult world. And through Special Olympics, he gets to be involved with other people that is not necessarily me, even though I'm a control freak and I have to control his life, and I probably always will, and that's why I'm still coaching, because of course no one can do it as good as me, but anyway, no, that's not true. What I'm saying is I am really looking to other people to help our family look at where his strengths are, what he can and can't do, how he acts in the public sector, what his lifestyle is like if I'm not around. It's hard for parents to let go of their kids into somebody else's care, or nowadays, even though this is 2015, we as parents have lots of options for this word of transition now that is being looked at through employment and housing and daily living skills and that kind of thing, as to those decisions about where is he going to be, where is our child going to be as an adult. I really am thankful and grateful when I have the chance for Tim to go to sports camp without me, and that, of course, I've been hearing the horror stories of, I guess he got in trouble a few times with Susan Schaefer. And yes, I don't want to hear that, but at the same time, okay, that gives us a start where, is he ready or not? What can his adult life be like? Because we know Special Olympics is from 8 years old to life. And so I'm grateful to have those other eyes looking at a kiddo's behavior or just his personality and bringing him out in things that I can't do, or I'm too close to the situation to see it, or I enable too much. We all know that parents can do too much for your kiddos, and so it's nice to have that objectivity from someone else in a safe environment that you know they have experience in dealing with. So again, thank you to everyone that can do that, and tell me some good stories too.
All right. Does anybody out there have any specific questions you want answered? Otherwise, I think this wraps it up. Oh, wait, Schaefer. Go.
I actually want to take the opportunity because my name is Mr. But thank you for sharing your brother, your sister, and your kids with us. We get to experience the same thing that you guys get to experience. I get to see that too, have the opportunity to do that at camp. But it's really to thank you, because that is really good to share your siblings and your son or daughter with me. That's what the joy is, that when I'm at a bowling alley and says, hey, I want your kid in Special Olympics. But that's exactly what, and to actually say to Brittany, come be a part of us, and that's really what I want to take the time to do, is thank you for allowing your children and brother and sister to be a part of our program. And we really do enjoy him. And he's a great kid. I have him on all the time. Tim?